Tragedy has struck the amusement park world with the closing of Six Flags America. Locals are confused and the enthusiasts are enraged, even though they constantly badmouthed the park for years prior to the closure. In the wake of this tragedy, many have begun to speculate on where the roller coasters may be relocated. The roller coaster lineup was said to be one of the lone bright spots of this neglected park, so in theory, it would make sense to try to transfer this value to other properties. The harsh reality is this lineup is not good, and it's not worth saving. That doesn't mean there aren't good roller coasters in this collection, but rather the collection as a whole brought the park down as a large factor in the demise of Six Flags America. I know this might be a hot take, but I believe it has merit. I'll break down each coaster one at a time and put it on a tier list to give a visual on how each compares to others across the industry. In the bad tier, we have the Great Chase. The Great Chase is a pointless roller coaster that does nothing. Actually, that's not entirely true. The roller coaster is good at slamming riders into the side of the car. If you're over the age of 5, I might advise against squeezing yourself into one of its tiny seats. I did it for the credit, but I'm not entirely sure it was worth it. In the mid tier, we have Firebird. Firebird has been referenced as one of the worst roller coasters in existence and is almost without question the worst B&M roller coaster. The coaster has a nasty habit of playing pinball with your head as you traverse the course. The coaster was formerly known as Apocalypse at the same park and was a stand-up roller coaster at that time. This might be one of the rare cases where the transition to floorless trains somehow led to the roller coaster becoming rougher. That's the kind of luck this park had. Admittedly, the fire effect was very cool on this ride, and the layout did have some fun elements. Should this ride be relocated? Absolutely not. It needs to be scrapped. The first good coaster is Jokers Jinx. This premier launch coaster is a fun but weak launch out of the station, and then a mess of inversions of varying intensity. The seats are a bit cramped and the restraints are a bit awkward. It's not bad per se, but the ride drastically slows down over the length of the track and begins to meander towards the end. Many Premier's early products were prone to extended downtime. This ride was no exception. It's a solid launch coaster for the park, but definitely on the weaker side. Next roller coaster in the good section is it's actually Roar. Yeah, I can't see too many people agreeing with this one. I always heard how horrible this was. To avoid it, don't do it, not worth it. Your back will hurt, your spine will hurt, your day will be ruined, and your kids will be upset. Just nothing good came from this from what I was told, but maybe because I knew the warnings, I knew to go in the front seat and avoid wheel seats at all costs. And we actually had a pretty decent time going on this. It was a real riot. You could tell the train didn't track the best, and I thought I was going to fly off the tracks at some points, but that's not part of the fun with some Woodies, honestly. If I had ridden this roller coaster on a wheel seat, it likely would have ended up in lower mid or even bad. The last coaster in good is the Wild One. The Wild One is notable for being one of the world's oldest roller coasters. It originally opened as Giant Coaster at Paragon Park in 1917. Many years later, it was moved and reconstructed at Wild World, which eventually was renamed to Six Flags America. It's an out-and-back Woody with a very enjoyable floater airtime and decent laterals at the end. The layout is no doubt incredible given the age of the ride, but does not stand against the best wooden coasters today. The way people talk about it since the park closed, you might expect it to rank up here in amazing, but I consider it very good, almost great. Next roller coaster I want to talk about is Batwing. It goes into great. This one was a blast. It's very similar to the Superman B&M flying roller coasters you can find at several Six Flags parks, but this is actually a Vekoma Flying Dutchman. The Flying Dutchman actually came out before the B&M Flyer, and it was a bit problematic. It had a very unique loading style and restraint system, and very complex heavy trains, and lots of downtime. I've heard so many stories from people trying to get a ride on this, or God forbid, Nighthawk at Carowinds, and just having the worst time trying to get on. And then dealing with constant single train ops if it was operating, so lines could get pretty bad. I think I just got really lucky the day I went to the park. Most of the stuff was open, and Batwing was running basically the whole day. So I got on, I got a back row, ride first when I meant to get the front. It's funny, the way the station is, it can be a little confusing. So you'll think you're in the front, but then you end up in the back, and vice versa. But my rides on this were great. Has a really intense layout, vertical loop in the flying positions, really awesome force that I wish we could get somewhere that's not China. China's got a Starry Sky Ripper, the only B&M flyer with a vertical loop. And I'm gonna miss this one. It was a lot of fun. I understand why it's not going anywhere. It couldn't even last the final season of Six Flags America. The ride was literally falling apart. Lead car of the train even fell off on the final day of Batwing's operation. The final roller coaster I got to ride during my visit to the park was Superman Ride of Steel. This, for most people, was the standout ride of the park. It's an Intamin mega coaster, over 200 feet tall, lots of airtime, lots of straight track, lots of big drawn out helixes. This ride is a mixed bag. The great moments are great, but the drawn out, pointless moments are drawn out and pointless. It was the first time Intamin tried this model. I think actually Darien Lake might have been the first time, but this is a mirrored clone of that. So there's a lot of dead spots on this, but towards the end when you hit the airtime hills, those are great. So it looked great in the park, and it was a lot of fun to ride, regardless of how much missed potential there is in the ride. And it's a shame we're gonna lose this one. There's a lot of better hypers out in the world. Honestly, this is probably one of the weakest hypers out there, but it really was iconic and it looked amazing in the park. The remaining coasters are rides that I've never personally been on. Several would close years before I went to the park. Two of them happened to be closed the day I was at the park. I will quickly order them to my best judgment. First on the list is Apocalypse. Apocalypse is Firebird, but with floorless trains. Some say it's better, some say it's worse. Firebird was pretty rough. I've got to think Apocalypse tracked a little better. I could be wrong. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Great Alonzo's Cannonball Coaster. This looked like a even lamer version of Great Chase, so it goes down in bad. The Mind Eraser, notorious for being one of the worst roller coasters ever, destroying people's heads, literally erasing their minds and giving them brain injuries. For that, it goes in bad. Python. This was a fun aero shuttle coaster that had a nice little punchy launch. And I've actually never personally been on this roller coaster model, but I've heard nothing but good things. I'll put it in good right behind Jokers Jinx. Ragin Cajun, the sole survivor from Six Flags America. This one has found a new home at Six Flags Great Adventure, and I think it'll fit really nicely there in the new boardwalk area. It's a mouse, a spinning mouse, and it looks pretty fun. Spinning is pretty intense from what I've heard, and it's one of the better mice out there. So for that, I will put it at the top of mid. Two-Face, the flip side, is a Vekoma inverted boomerang. This is something I've never been on, but I've been on the giant inverted boomerang, and that was a fantastic ride. These, though, I've heard are not the best, and I will put it in mid under Firebird. Looking at this list, it's clearly visible that the entire lineup is in the bottom half of the tiers. For my list, I consider Amazing, Elite, and Ultra Elite to be star attractions. Parks like Cedar Point may have multiple star attractions in its lineup. Six Flags America did not have a single star attraction at the time of its closing. The whole lineup consisted of coasters from the early 2000s or before. Superman and Batwing were both quality coasters that would add nice depth to a park, but neither stood out amongst similar rides at other parks. Roller coasters in good would preferably be filler coasters in a deeper lineup. They were required to be key depth at this park. The bad roller coasters as well as Firebird could be downright painful on certain days, and actively made the lineup worse. The title for this video came from a realization the combined lineup at the park was lackluster and unreliable. There was a low chance of everything operating at any given time, and even if the whole lineup was available, there was no star attraction that would draw people in from outside the immediate area. The collective of the roller coasters at Six Flags America was bad. King's Dominion and Busch Gardens Williamsburg were within 2 hours of this park, and I do not know why anyone would choose Six Flags America over those two parks. Those parks are proper destinations with fleshed out ride lineups. I'm not cheering on the depth of this park, and I do feel for the locals that are losing their home park. The closure is far from surprising. It would have taken a great amount of money to update the park to a respectable modern standard. Money Six Flags does not have.